Early on, I started to sense a call to some type of ministry.
We are neighbors learning to love unconditionally by doing what Jesus says.
How did you hear about Christian Neighbors Church?
Oh, I heard it from Ernestine Smith.
I heard about Christian Neighbors Church through Pastor Luke. I met him at a church picnic at Cornerstone, and he started just talking about how he had this church plant in Waukegan, and the area that he mentioned that the church was going to be started in was right in my old neighborhood, so I was all about that, and it sounded like something I wanted to be a part of.
We had heard that there was going to be a new church plant in Waukegan. We ended up being in this baby prep class at Lake Forest Hospital with Luke and Megan McFadden. So we met them and kind of made the connection that, oh, these are the people that are starting this new church plant.
We heard about the church through our brother-in-law. He had a recommendation that was in Waukegan for a church plant that we were unaware of. Received the name of the church. We kind of looked online to see where they met, went to go and visit, and we never looked back.
How did you come to participate in our church community?
Well, I'd like to start out telling this quick little story because Jesus is so good to me. I was doing a big yard sale all around. I just had got through hitting a crack pipe. And I had a beer in my hand, and I stepped outside because I seen a young lady stepped up, and it was this guy named Pastor Luke. And the thing were, I was still blowing smoke out trying to wave it away because I was looking at them. I was looking at dollar signs. And I'm like, come on in, the gate is open. But I barely can say anything because I was trying to hold on to the smoke that I was trying to enjoy that was killing me. But he asked me, did I know Jesus? Before I knew it, it just something happened. I fell to my knees, turned my head trying to blow the smoke out, and eased the bill down to the ground, and I went to ask God, is it my turn? I've been waiting. I think he the one had been waiting, but the thing where I started running off at the mouth, and the best thing that happened was there was two young people that stood there and listened to me for a good 40-some minutes without interruption, and I'm like, whoa. I hadn't had that happen in a couple of years in my addiction. He asked me would I like to go with him and start a church. And I said, are you for real? He said, yeah. And I'm like, hey, well, I would go. I would do it in the name of Jesus if that's what you say. So we prayed, and he invited me up to a Bible study. And I was very interested in re-knowing Jesus again because I was a little rusty. I really didn't know Jesus at that time. When I was 13, I turned my back on Christ. That's where I ended up 2010, going to my first Bible study in a while.
Love, acceptance, lots of hugs.
Para mí lo más especial creo que es cuando puedo ser parte de la comunidad y no hay un juzgamiento a la persona por cómo es, sino que hay una aceptación en la iglesia tal y como yo soy, pero a la misma vez como grupo.
What was your first impression of this church community?
Oh, wow. People welcome me in the Christian Neighbor Church with open arms. And I've been there ever since. I love it. I haven't tried to miss no days. I've missed about 5 or 6 days out of it, but it's been so wonderful to be at Christian Neighbor Church.
Yeah, that Carol, she's really nice. You going to church tomorrow? I said, who? I ain't going to church. He said, oh, yeah, you going to church? I said, okay. You want me to go to church? I'll go to church.
I thought when where we at today, I thought would never be there. I thought it was just gonna be a preacher come there and then he leave and give up on the neighborhood. But Pastor Luke have never gave up on the neighborhood of his people, of the neighborhood, and he loves all of us. And I think Pastor Luke and our family at the church have did a lot for the neighborhood.
There was a diversity that I've never seen in a church before, and just the genuine, sincere welcome that we received on our first visit. So that was very welcoming to us. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I thought it was I would use the word organic. It was nothing like I've seen before. I've been to churches where it's very structured and, for lack of a better word, polished. And this seemed to be a place where people really came as they were, and there was no judgment and there was no expectation, that everybody was just here to praise God.
What is the best characteristic about Christian Neighbors Church?
Para mí una de las características de la iglesia que me pareció bastante importante es al momento de en medio de los cantos, cuando se da el tiempo de que si alguien tiene expresiones de alabanza que pueda decirlas en ese tiempo.
I loved it. Again, like I said, it was in my old neighborhood where I grew up. And like the first time that I went there were kids that were like greeting me, opening the doors. And not only that, my father-in-law, Roger Handyside, was a part of it. So there's like all these different connections. So I kind of like made my decision and knew that was where I was supposed to be. So yeah.
What is the best characteristic about CNC?
There's a lot of best thing about CNC. The people, Pastor Luke, and the things that they do for Christian Neighbor Church and other people. That's the best thing ever happened to me from Christian Neighbor Church.
The way that God has called us is a different way. We're called to be a patient group of people who bear with one another, who learn from one another, who really seek to deeply understand one another so that we can love well across racial, cultural, and ethnic boundaries. And there's a special type of discipleship for people who are willing to really learn from God and each other in that type of ministry. And that's what we've signed up for.
I think what's been most special to me has probably been the friendships that I've made and the support that we've been given as a family as we've gone through some difficult times, and really felt in a lot of different ways prayers and practical support from other people.
Again, like the diversity, like just people that probably typically wouldn't have relationships, just kind of like bonding and growing together. So I really like seeing that.
What's most special to me is probably diversity is one, but just how you can, walk with people, with Christ, and, a lot of us being different, areas of our lives, or different seasons of our lives, and how that may look different, but to still feel like the love between each other, I feel is really good, and to have gentle accountability with each other is one that's encouraging.
What is the best characteristic about CNC?
You could just be yourself, and that anything kind of goes sometimes. That is just very open, and people can just be themselves.
Just listen to Michael talk about, Pastor Luke, like, it's really encouraging to see a pastor who's so committed and passionate and dedicated not only to his church but his community, and to be able to give a commitment to what some may see as a community that might not necessarily be desirable. He has chosen to, live in the community with the people.
How have you seen God at work while you've been attending CNC?
Oh, yes. First, I seen my daughter get married. We got baptized together. My grandsons got baptized. And I got married. And it's just been wonderful. And a lot of people in Christian neighborhood helped my daughter get a house. And me helped me, because with our Christian neighbor family, I won't be sitting here doing this interview right now. Don't tell them where I will be at right now.
The original idea was to start a gospel-centered, multi-ethnic church. We really are focused on the Bible and the gospel, and also on the social implications of what we proclaim in the gospel. What has changed, I guess, is we've recognized that the way that God leads us into what He's called us to be is often the way that you least suspect. And I guess one particular example of that is one thing that I've seen as a leader is how important it is to not only accept and embrace my weaknesses, but to boast in my weakness, because in recognizing just where my limitations are and what I can't do, that's when I really start to see my eyes open to God powerfully at work. And it reminds me of, that verse in 2 Corinthians where Paul says, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." And I've seen over and over and over again when I've come to the end of myself, completely unable to help someone in the way that I want to, or take a new beachhead in our ministry, see something develop that I'm just longing to see developed, and being pushed to my knees in those situations, I've seen God move in power despite my weaknesses, not because of my strengths.
How do you define success for this ministry?
Yeah, I view faithfulness as success.
Thank you for Christian Neighbors Church, Father.
Go ahead, Karen.
Hello, Larry. How you doing? Okay, that's enough, ain't it?
Tell me, have you stopped robbing banks?
No.
Aha!
I've cut down, only on the weekends.
Oh, well, I'm so glad to hear that. The Lord does work in mysterious ways. Could I borrow a 20?
Que decidí,
Decidí. I can barely not laugh.
Could you say a few words to our viewers?
Yes, I didn't think that this process was going to be so lengthy.
Hola, mi nombre es Carlos Edgardo Tejada Ruiz Rodríguez Ramírez.
That's a lot of middle names, man.
This is very unnatural for us.
Very.
The only story I have to tell that's funny about CNC is that we had a Christmas dinner some years ago, and each one of us had a country to choose from to prepare a meal for. I cannot remember the country that Pastor Luke had to make his meal from. But anyway, Pastor Luke made this bread, and it was like a hockey puck.
Well, he is from the northern part of the States.
But that didn't have anything to do with Ireland.
Tell us about Tennessee.
I was born there.
Could you say a few more words than that? I got to get an audio level.
I moved away when I was 4 and a half.
Tell me, sir, what do you think of the situation in the giraffe park in Busch Gardens?
The giraffe park in Busch Gardens?
Yes.
You know, no comment.
Ah, don't want to stretch your neck out, huh?
Surprisingly, I have no comment about my no comment.
One funny story. We were at, Luke invited some people over for a cookout. And he had his grill on the back porch. And, he was grilling some hamburgers and everything. And Frankie was like, yeah, let me, I got it. And next thing you know, there was this huge grease fire.
Really?
And Frankie tried to play it cool so bad, but you could tell it was just getting out of control. And Luke didn't want to say, Frank, what are you doing? You burning up my grill. And it totally melted the handle of the grill. Oh, it was so funny. Luke and Frank tried to play it cool, and I'm just standing back wow, this is real funny. Oh, so yes, I remember that. That was funny to me. Nobody got hurt, and the grill still works, so it can be funny.
Gunda just saved the day. We need a crew. Gunda here. It was very exciting. The wind blew and the whole rig came over. And the Category 5 hurricane came blowing through the place. It was amazing. God sei Dank that the whole thing didn't go kapooey. Anyway, over and out.